The dream is slow traveling the world. The plan for us included rehoming our pets, and I want to explain that process, why we chose that route, and what it's been like since they've been rehomed. So, going back 14 months from when we made the choice to travel, we didn't know exactly what that was going to look like, but we knew we were going to do it. I would say the single hardest choice we had to make was, what are we going to do with our dog? We had a 6.5-year-old golden retriever named Graham. We went back and forth. At first, we thought, so I knew that this was going to be hardest on my husband. I spent the most time with Graham, but he had the deeper need, love, dog connection. And so I put it on him and said, if you want to, we can bring Graham with us and we will live in one place and we can still, or just very slowly travel 90 days at a time. We'll figure it out. And by doing that, it wasn't a debate between us. I had to have him work through all of those emotions. Because as much as I love my dog, I also watched my mom give up so many of her dreams because she was watching my brother's dog. I early on in life made a choice that I will never be that person. I will make sure the dog is safe. I'm not going to abandon a dog. I treat my dogs really well. I love them. And so I had to give that to him to work through. And it took him a few months of just really debating the options and let him have space to do that. Ultimately, our dog has a little bit of anxiety, a little nervousness, and we knew that he would not handle that well. We were talking about going to Eastern Europe to start, or Asia. Either one of those is a very long flight, a lot of stress. And then once we got there, now what? What are we going to do? And we didn't have the option fully yet to stay one place indefinitely. The closest we came to having a place would be Albania, that would let you stay a year and then you have to leave for 90 days and you can come back. We could have made that work. But ultimately, we let the months pass. We just loved up on Graham. We got to just cuddle with him, enjoy every bit of through the holidays, through everything. And then the last couple months, I'm like, okay, it's getting time. We have so many things between getting the house ready to sell and all of the projects and people working on the yard and all of this stuff, that this is the time that we should rehome him, so that if something doesn't work out, we're still here to find him a new home. And it's such a vulnerable process, even sharing this. Anyone who's had to do this, you love the animal and you want the best for them, even if you're not the best for them in your upcoming situation. And so finally, a little over a month ago, about 6 weeks ago, I confided in my two sisters and said, okay, for our cat and our dog, if you know anyone, actually our two cats and our dog, if you know anyone, I sent updated pictures, just some brief things that they could share if they wanted to share with anyone. And then I was talking with another friend of mine through text, and I happened to mention she's had golden retrievers before, and so she understands them. And I put it out there. I said, okay, we're ready to rehome Graham. If you know anyone. And then she asked, do you have any other info about him? So I sent her the same stuff. And I don't know if it's the oldest daughter issues that I have. Asking for help like that made me feel so incredibly vulnerable that I had anxiety that whole night, that I overstepped. I should not have put that on her. I just felt very feeling. But it turned out to be the best thing, because the next day she had posted it in her local pet dog walking pet park group on Facebook. And a woman named Samantha saw that and had been looking for a golden retriever, had raised golden retrievers as a kid, all of the things. And so she reached back out and said, Samantha, there's a woman. Can she get in touch with you? So I talked with Samantha. Turns out they had lost a golden retriever back in the fall. She has a 9-year-old daughter. They've been just fostering some animals in the meantime. But they were really hoping, and she had just gotten on that pet group that day, just hoping that she would know if it was right or not, if she was ready or not for that. And saw my friends listening about our dog. And she had even said, like, if it's meant to be, give me a sign that it's meant to be. And so our dog is named after somebody really close to her. And she just felt like that was her knowing. And so we started communicating. She came out and met the dog. And I love that. So Graham got to meet her with us all here in our yard. So he felt very safe. Immediately cuddled right up with her, and just, it was amazing to watch. And so I took him to the vet, got him caught up on all of his shots, everything. So I just wanted to feel good about that he was where he needed to be, checked out. And then we met, and she and her daughter took Graham home with them. And as you can see, like, immediately, I just got this sense that he's okay. And we've talked a few times since. He's doing fantastic. She's loving it. The dog, Grandma's doing great. They go up to the cabin. He gets to go on a boat ride. He jumped right in her front seat, like all ready to go when they drove away. It just made us both feel so good. And while it's been hard here having an empty house, the deeper piece of knowing that he's in a really good home makes us feel so good. And since then, I've heard from a couple different people that are in other countries. Some people travel with their dogs fantastic and they don't have any issues. But the attitude about pets and animals in a lot of other countries aren't always the same as here in America. And so us trying to, at some point, if it wasn't working out, trying to rehome him once we're already overseas, felt like that would be really irresponsible. And really, now we're dealing with language barriers and different philosophies on pet ownership, all of the things. And so, as heartbreaking as it was, and as much as we all cried many times, we deep down really feel like it was the right decision. And then I just want to share one other story also with our cat. So this is a story of how it can go totally wrong, but then turn out totally good. Rewind 15 months ago, and it was fall, so almost 18 months ago, and we found a cat in our yard. And it was like a week old, 10 days old, we're not sure, and could barely walk. And so we went and got like a bottle, and we fed it with cat formula, and like saved this cat and loved this cat named Storm. And so now we have in the house Storm, Wander, and Graham. Out in our workshop, we used to have a cat named Penny, and then we have Crush. Crush does not want to come inside. He's like, let me have my space. But he's getting older. And so I was like, we're going to have to figure that out separately. And then Penny passed away right before Storm showed up. And so now we have two cats in the house. And my allergies, I don't know if it was a tipping point thing or what, but I was like sneezing 100 times a day. It was terrible. And so I'm like, when spring came a year ago, we have to get the cats outside into the workshop. So they all had beds, they have food, all the things, they're fine. But I'm like, I can't keep them in the house anymore. It's too much. There's too much hair, and I just can't. So I put a post as fall was coming, because Storm had like nature wild instincts. He was like all cat. Wander was like a bunny rabbit meets like just a little aloof, not quite, like it was her best feature, but her worst feature. And I just was like, she's not going to survive winter outside. And I just feel terrible for her. We could bring her back in the house, but then what? We still ultimately we're leaving. So we need to find a home for her. And so I, being like overly honest, put a big ad, like, we have this cat. I really love to find a place where she can come inside, whatever. And I got so much hate messages from people calling me the most horrible names. And how could you just leave that cat outside? Do you even feed it? And I'm like, Do you know how much work it is to put an ad up and take pictures and do all of the things trying to find a home? Like how vulnerable that feeling is to try to rehome an animal. Somebody who doesn't care about the animal is not going through that. They're dropping them off somewhere. So first of all, I care enough to do that. Second of all, like, yes, she's okay. She's like gets her shot. She's like in a nice warm area. She has a bed. But it's still not like she deserves better than that, even though what we could give her at that point. So I took all the ads down. I took her to the vet, got her fully checked out again, so I could just say that she was fully up to date on everything. And I just did a really short and simple, like needing to rehome the cat. We're moving. Here's her name, her info, and immediately found somebody. Now, Angela is the one who ended up adopting Wander. And Angela was so sweet. She's a woman in her 50s. She's married, her and her husband, and her husband's a pastor. And so Angela loves Wander. Wander is not very cat-like. Like her back legs were like a little bow-legged, and so she couldn't jump on counters. And she just wants to just sit and cuddle. She doesn't really get into anything. And she's like the perfect cat if you want a cat and something to cuddle without something that's going to like be mischievous. And so Angela sent us like Christmas cards and photos of Wander with like cute little bow tie on. And like Wander is living her best life, way better a life than we were giving her. That made me feel so good. And then actually Angela showed up on her moving sale and gave me another update and just said that her husband has even preached about Wander to their congregation about how much faith that this cat has like restored in them and this second chance at life. And they built little ramps around their room so Wander could get around easily from thing to thing. And it just made me feel so good that had I clung on to this notion that we are the best for her and that we have to hold on, otherwise it's bad. Wander, I mean, she'd be okay still, but ultimately once we leave, we'd have to rehome her anyways. And she would have missed out on this excellent, much better living situation. And Wander's only 7, so she has many more years with this great home with some people that love her so much. So, and then Crush, we ended up finding a friend who has a farm and a few other cats and a barn. And so Crush is okay. So Crush gets to live out his final days surrounded by other animals, but also having a safe place. And so that's our rehoming story. There are some people that are going to take their pets with them, and bravo to you. For us, that just wasn't how we were going to do it. And I'm so grateful that we kind of stretched out of our comfort zone to rehome all the pets and find them really good homes. And I'm grateful we didn't wait till the last minute. So now we're under 100 days till we leave, and we know that they've all had a month plus in their new homes. Wander's been in hers now for 6 months and 7 months, and things are wonderful. And so that just makes me feel so good. We can leave now with one less stress on our plate of worrying and kind of step into this stage where we're going to be a little bit selfish with our lives. And I'm okay with that. I've spent my whole adulthood raising kids and taking care of everybody else's needs. And it feels really good to know their needs are being met. And I get to just worry about my own and us, our little trio, for just a little while. So that is our pet rehoming story. Yeah, let me know if you had to rehome a pet, or are you debating? There are people that we follow on here that took their pets with them and they stayed in one place for years until their pets passed, and that worked for them. And then there are some that also rehome them and they don't regret that. So yeah, thanks for listening. This whole realist dreamer channel is all about just getting really real about these big dreams and then how we're going to pull them off. And sometimes the pet rehoming is just one of those parts of that process that nobody wants to talk about because it is vulnerable and upsets people, and people want to assume the worst about someone who would do that. Thanks so much for watching. I'm so glad that you're here, and follow along on our journey as we are almost done selling everything. We're less than 100 days out now from leaving America and slow traveling the world with our teenage son. So thanks for being here. Bye.